Hi, welcome to My Woolly PhD. My name's Liz Scarf and this is a weekly vlog where I share something I've been learning and making this week in my Anthropology PhD all about wool. You can find, if you're new here, you can find a brief overview of the research project in the introduction video. Might be time to, oh no, it's not time yet. I think I've got to review kind of where I'm at because the idea changes over time in a PhD generally. So I've got to go and check that video. What was I saying back then? I think it's still close enough relevant. Apologies for the hat. Turns out I've been wearing a hat all day and there's just no going back from that now when it comes to video time. So it's a hat week. Now it's been one of those weeks where so much has happened and it's been so varied that it's felt like 2 or 3 weeks. Which is kind of odd because I spent 3 of the days in an induction program and it was necessary and it was pretty good and I met lots of excellent new researchers. It was so cool. But later I will show you all the knitting I got done over those 3 days. It was really productive. And then we had our first coursework class. So we do a methods and theory class in the first semester and then that's it. Generally that's it for coursework. Anyway, I hadn't realised the very large number of words we were going to have to produce in these courses. And they do go towards sort of our project development. They're not tangential at all, they're very useful. But it was a lot. And then I realised that it's nearly mid-April and I have got another large piece of writing to kind of submit in 2 or 3 weeks. And so I had this moment where my world just kind of turned on its axis for a bit. There was a moment of like, oh shit. And then I just switched into mega productivity mode and I pumped out about 3,500 reasonably good words this weekend. And I feel very clear about what I need to focus on. So I'm kind of guns blazing at the moment. I was also bitten by a sulphur-crested cockatoo. Totally my fault. Yes, it was painful. One of the few animals in Australia that are not poisonous though, so it was all fine. And I did see an excellent hand physiotherapist for that little inflammation I had in what's called the first CMC joint. It had almost died down to the point where I thought I'll cancel the appointment. And then I just thought, I really want to use these for decades, like really, really like use them a lot. So I could just go and learn some things even about just caring for my hands on a more day-to-day basis. Anyway, she was amazing. I learned a lot about hands and pincer techniques and just reminded me again how cool physiotherapists are. Anyway, in all of that, yes, I have of course been doing some reading and the topic that is sitting with me this week is gender. And I was kind of reluctant to bring it because it's so massive, like it's such a huge concept in so many contexts of life, right? And I literally read one thing and it wasn't even about gender specifically, but it kind of connected a bunch of thoughts and experiences that I'd been having and helped me make sense of them around gender and knitting and wool work. So I thought I would share that. So the reading was from a chapter from a book called, look at it because they're very complicated titles, Anthropological Locations, Boundaries and Grounds of a Field Science by Gupta and Anderson. And the chapter I read was by them called Discipline and Practice, the Field as Site, Method and Location in Anthropology. Now I mention it really just to respect authorship, but I think it's a pretty inaccessible book unless you have access to online university libraries. So again, so many of the things I'm reading are not accessible. It really highlights things of the democratization of information and just the way that really good quality research and data is like not accessible to the general population unless you've got cash to pay for it, right? And anyway, that's a big problem, but not the problem I am tackling today. So the article is actually about the concept of the anthropological field, not as in the anthropological discipline, which is one way to use the word field. Well, they are partly talking about this. Anyway, I'm not going to go into all of that, but hang on, I got a call coming in. So they recounted the history or a history of how the concept of the field, so kind of like where you study, emerged, and noted how one of the things they noted was quite gendered, right? So the archetypal anthropologist was like a white European male on a somewhat heroic quest into some native territory, of course, massively colonial, living in the field for at least 12 months. Now, this has set up hierarchies of field sites and field methods and the duration you're in the field, etc. in anthropology, right? So being in the field longer is better. The more exotic or other your field site, the better. But of course, this archetype has, or certainly the development of it, really excluded women because in the 1800s it wasn't really possible for women to travel somewhere remote for such a long time on their own to research. There's all these ways in which this was not a thing that women could do, right? And actually I would argue that it is still harder for women to do this, to go into the field for such an extended period of time, even to be able to become a researcher in general, get that level of education. It's still something that is less accessible for women. Again, changing at various rates in different cultures, of course. Now, there is also some work around researchers who are gender non-binary and transgender and their experiences about being in the field, accessing the field, but I'm not across it enough to say much about it. I just want to acknowledge that, of course, anthropologists are not just men and women. Anyway, all this thinking about the role and experience of women in anthropology also made me think about the hierarchy of topics in anthropology, that some research topics are more privileged. They get more grants, it's easier to get a job if that's your area of expertise, and that these topic preferences are also really gendered as well. And then thinking about all this made me realise I've had an awkwardness inside, like as an inner experience about my topic when I've been telling academics here and other students about it. Because I felt like kind of everybody else is doing something important and I just want to know why some people go gaga for wool, right? And I'm a middle-aged woman. So I've been carrying around some sort of internalised sexism and ageism that I do feel a bit more free of now that I've been kind of understanding a bit more where it's come from. But I should say, though, that I have had nothing but enthusiastic, congruent interest and support about my topic from the academics here. It's been amazing and surprising. And because it was surprising, it made me realise, I was expecting something else. I was expecting somehow to not be taken seriously or to people not be interested or some kind of dismissive communication signals, right? It just has not been the case. So it's really helped me become aware of the inner narratives. Now, of course, I didn't just make them up. They are definitely out there in the anthropology discipline more broadly, and you can definitely see it. You go to apply for a grant and you look at what the other previous year's grant recipients' topics are, and it's like no one's studying wool. And they're all kind of doing these really important kind of topics. So it's it's not something I've made up out of nowhere, right? It's definitely real. I'm just not experiencing it directly here in my department, which is so awesome. It has got me thinking though, right? Being a woman, studying mostly what is women's work, it's also very strongly stereotyped in a diminutive way, right? So boring old ladies kind of thing. That if I wanted a career in academia, and I don't know that I do, but I might, I'm going to have to produce something really, really outstandingly brilliant because my gender, my topic is not privileged actually. So, no pressure, Liz. I'm up for it. Anyway, I am fast outgrowing my own internalised sexism with regard to knitting, and so that's fantastic. It feels very empowering to really stop being awkward about my topic and really get behind it as a valuable place to kind of explore and examine. I also love just by studying knitting. that I can make a little contribution towards giving it more cultural value, and to also maybe challenging the stereotypes surrounding knitting just a little bit, right? That would be nice. I think that's what, you know, research can do for more marginalised topics too, right? Puts them on the table in academic spaces as something useful and worthy of academic attention. Anyway, so my question for those of you who like to get chatty in the comments is, how has or does gender play a role in your fibre practice? So have you experienced gendered comments or treatment? Do you also have internalised gendered narratives about your practice? I'm really curious as to what your experience has been, or what you've also been surprised by that's made you go, oh, I thought it was going to be like this, but it's like that. Yeah, so that's what I've been sort of thinking about, reading a little bit about, but thinking and reflecting on a lot. And yeah, had some really great sort of shifts around the way in which I was really valuing my own topic. So that was cool. What have I been making? So last week I think I shared the beginning of some leg warmers that and I think I mentioned that I did not think I could endure whole legs of 2x2 ribbing. I did. Look at this baby. So cool. Check it out. She's super stretchy. They're so great. I finished them. They're it's a DK Perendale wool from New Zealand. I made these little flap things on the side, which is great. And see if I can do this without falling off my chair. I've got one on to show you. Here it is. And it's so soft and warm, and it's quite a warm day, so I've got one very warm leg right now. Anyway, I'm really happy with them. I got 1.5 of these knitted in the 3 days of induction, so I felt that was very productive, and then I just pumped out the rest of it so I could show you today. So that's finished, and I'm very thrilled because some mornings it's getting really, really cold here. Now, the other thing I've been working on, I think I showed you this last time too, I'm not sure. I've just finished the collar on the sweater that I am making with my hand-spun yarn, and I've done the first little sort of setup row for the raglan sleeves, and I'm just about to go into the, what are they called? Short rows for building up the neck. So that's exciting. And now that I don't have like an easy project that I can just cart with me anywhere, I've got to cast on a new one. I'm going to cast on some little fingerless mitts for my daughter with some other hand spun that I have done. Not from a raw fleece, but so maybe I'll have them, well, I'll have the start of them to share next week. Yeah, looks like it's a short video this week. Maybe because I don't have as many making things to share. I think I do. No, that's it. All right, look at us, finished super early. Thanks for watching, and love to hear your thoughts on the topic, or, you know, anything else you want to talk about wool. Yeah, I will. Will I see you next week? It's the Easter long weekend. You know, I will post a video. Maybe it'll be a day late. Maybe I'll have to pre-record it and schedule it to. I'll do that. I'll record it on Thursday and schedule it to post on Sunday. Okay, I will see you next week. Okay, bye.